converted at the University of Texas. When I was 9 years old at a church in Illinois, I had this quite amazing experience and thought I was converted, but there was no discipleship. No one even talked to me before baptism, I don't think, and I wasn't truly converted. That demonstrated itself in that quickly, I departed and had no care for the things of God. And then when I was 17, my father and I were working on the farm, and he yelled and started to fall, and I caught him, and he died in my arms. And I was a very ungodly teenager, and it didn't change me in any way, but it got me to start thinking. I really respected my father, and he was quite an amazing man. And I realized he was dead, that it didn't matter how wealthy you are, you're going to die. He was very intelligent, but you're going to die. You fall in love, you're going to die. And I drank quite a bit, and just because I kind of lived life as an absurdity, there's no reason. The only place I found reason was in the classroom, in the sense of just trying to make straight A's. And I didn't even know why. And I went off to college, to Murray State University, and then the University of Texas. And it was there that I was miserable, just miserable one night. And I was into weightlifting really heavy, and I was in steroids really heavy. And it was about 1 o'clock in the morning, and I kept saying to myself, sitting on the side of the bed, I'm so miserable. I'm just miserable. I wish I could take these steroids and they would kill me. But that's not the way steroids kill you. And someone knocked at the door, and it was a little freshman. I opened the door, and he was about 5'7" and really nervous. And I thought someone had maybe tried to rob him or something. I didn't know what was going on. And I said, yeah. And he goes, you're probably going to hit me, because I was really kind of aggressive. And I said, well, it's 1 o'clock in the morning. You're probably right. And I said, why are you knocking on my door? And he said, for 2 weeks, God has been telling me to come and talk to you, but I've been afraid and I can't stand it anymore. And I kind of laughed, and I thought, oh man, this guy, he's hearing God, And so I laughingly said, so what's God's message for me? And he said, you're miserable, and you're going to remain miserable until you surrender your life to Jesus Christ. And he was with Campus Crusade, which now is known as Cru, I think. And he talked to me like 4 a.m. We just walked around campus, and he told me something. I used all the typical excuses, like part of my family's Catholic, part of my family's Protestant. I don't want any part to do with any of that. And he stopped me, and he said, that's an excuse. He said, I've not mentioned Catholicism or Protestantism or a church. I've only talked to you about the person of Jesus of Nazareth. And he goes, you can't escape this. You have to decide, who is he? And a few weeks later, guys kept visiting me, and I kept trying to avoid them, or I'd try to be nice. And then one day in the library, we were running off some oil surveys. I was going to be an oil and gas lawyer, and that's what I wanted to be. And this girl asked me to a party, and I said no. And I had gotten to the point where I didn't party. I just would sit in a bar, like with old people, and just drink by myself. And I said, I'm not going to your party. And she said, why? And at that moment, I don't even know why I said this. I just said, because I'm going to follow Jesus Christ. And my friends turned around, and they looked at me like, man, that was cold even for you. Even for you, that was beyond the bounds, because it was a time when people still, respected God's name. And it was like, have you seen one of those cartoons where a light bulb just turns on? And that's the way it was. It was like, and it wasn't like my deep sinfulness, even though I knew I was a sinner. It wasn't like broken over. It was just literally, I felt like I was, literally flooded with the love of God, how much God loved me. And I knew that it was because Jesus died for me. And I ran out of there and I realized I'm different. I mean, in a second, it was like I changed. And I ran back to the apartment complex and found that guy. And I said, "You got to help me." I said, "I'm scared." And he said, "What's wrong?" I said, "All I know is I'm not the same person who walked in that library. Something has happened to me. I am believing in Jesus, and the love of God is so great that I just feel like I don't know, like I'm going to run out of my mind or something." And there was this big Texan who was the dorm resident guy, and he was a little bit older than us, and he was a stronger Christian. He was with Cru, and we knocked on his door, and he looked out. He towered over me, and I'm 6'2", and he goes, "What's up?" And my friend goes, "Paul needs to tell you something." And he said, "What?" And I said, "I don't know. All I know is I've been changed, and I'm believing in Jesus." And that big Texan goes, "Buddy, you just got born again." And I said, "What is that?" You know, I was scared to death. And what was great was, and this is so important for you college students, a lot of people were amazed in the next year how much I grew. Like I grew like a weed. I mean, but it wasn't because there was something spiritual or unique about me. There was a group of guys on campus, and they took me in. There were Christian brothers on campus, and they took me in. I mean, they had me live with them and in the house. I went with them everywhere, and they were such a powerful influence on my life. And I never forgot, you know, we grow in the context of other people. We don't grow because we're some prophet who spends his time on a mountaintop somewhere. We grow, you know, if you're in college, I'm so glad. It bothers me so much. I love all the college ministries that preach the gospel, but it bothers me that so many of them are so separated from a local church. You need a local church, and you need young people, and you need old people. You need people like you and people not like you. And you need to grow in that kind of context. And fortunately, that's what was given to me as a gift. I guess the Lord knew I was so weak. He just inundated me with wonderful, wonderful saints. And so that's how I was converted.